Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins hidden in the back of a drawer, and realizing that a small brown penny, one you've ignored your entire life, could quietly be worth more than most luxury cars, more than your annual salary, maybe even more than your home. Sounds unbelievable, right? And yet, the 1964 D. Lincoln penny, yes, that ordinary-looking 1-cent coin, has shocked the collecting world with values reaching as high as $964,000. Some ultra-rare varieties have even been speculated to reach into the millions. Suddenly, that little copper coin in your hand feels a lot heavier. But before we get too comfortable imagining that wealthy lifestyle, remember this: most people throw these coins away without ever checking. Countless fortunes have vanished into grocery store cash registers and parking meter slots. What if one of those fortunes once belonged to you? It all begins in 1964, a year when America was on the edge of dramatic change. The nation was shifting, industries were evolving, and the demand for coins in commerce skyrocketed. The Denver Mint pushed out an enormous number of pennies, focusing on speed, not precision. And that chaotic rush gave birth to something unexpected: rare errors and unusual die varieties that today transform the humble penny into a financial miracle. While billions were minted, only a select few bear the traits collectors chase with almost obsessive passion. Which leaves a question hanging in the air. If you had one of these rare pennies in your home right now, would you recognize it? Before answering that, imagine the feeling of holding a coin so rare that collectors, serious, wealthy collectors, are willing to spend six figures just to say they own it. That level of competition is fierce, emotional, and driven by a fear many share: the fear of missing out on the next great hidden treasure. This market moves fast. When a rare 1964 D. Lincoln penny shows up in nearly perfect condition, buyers don't wait, because hesitation means losing the chance forever. So, what makes this specific penny so valuable comes down to a perfect storm of scarcity, condition, and historical quirks. High-end examples graded at the very top of the scale, coins preserved as if time itself never touched them, are the ones making headlines. We're talking flawless surfaces, deep original luster, razor-sharp details. A coin like that isn't just money. It's a trophy, a symbol of elite investment taste. And yes, the right one can easily approach $1 million or more. But there's more to the story. Some 1964 D pennies have mysterious doubling on the lettering or portrait. Others show striking errors like off-center strikes or die breaks that create dramatic visual features. These aren't accidents. They are minting anomalies born from a production line under enormous pressure. Errors that today spark excitement among collectors who dream of uncovering something truly special. And once in a while, one of those coins emerges and shakes the entire market. Now, you might be wondering how many of these rare coins are still out there, hidden in jars, tucked into old change purses, or sleeping quietly in inherited boxes that no one has opened in decades. The truth is, no one knows. But what we do know is this: every year, new discoveries hit the market, pulling average Americans into extraordinary financial opportunities they never expected. Imagine being next. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, you have to understand what separates a penny worth 1 cent from one worth $964,000. It begins with condition, often the ultimate make-or-break factor. A perfect 1964 D penny is like a time capsule, untouched by circulation, unseen by the world. If you find a coin in this condition, your heart should skip a beat. Collectors chase these because they are nearly impossible to find after more than 6 decades. Next is rarity. A rare variety or dramatic error can cause collectors to fight over a single coin. Picture two wealthy bidders in a silent auction, each refusing to back down. The price climbs and climbs until someone taps out. That's how six-figure sales happen. That's how ordinary people become part of extraordinary stories. And let's not forget the emotional thrill of discovery. There's a certain excitement in opening an old box of coins and suddenly seeing something different. A clearer shine, a sharper detail, a hint of doubling on Lincoln's profile. Your pulse rises. You lean in closer. Could this be it? This is why millions of people search. Not just for profit, but for possibility, hope, curiosity, freedom. Because a rare penny is more than metal. It's a doorway. Of course, some viewers might be thinking, come on, a penny worth nearly $1 million? Maybe. But consider how many people once ignored Bitcoin when it was just a few cents. Consider how many homeowners once bought property for almost nothing before the boom. Opportunities often hide in plain sight, quietly waiting for the right person to recognize them. And here's where things get even more interesting. The market for rare pennies isn't shrinking. It's growing. Wealthy investors are turning to hard assets, diversifying portfolios with coins that not only hold value but often appreciate faster than traditional investments. In a world where uncertainty keeps rising, tangible collectibles offer security. You can hold them, you can see them, you can pass them down. So yes, a 1964 D penny can reach the $964,000 range today, and in the future, if market trends continue, some experts believe exceptional examples could push past the $1 million mark. Imagine telling your family that your wealth came from something everyone else overlooked. But remember the cliffhanger we're still dangling on. How do you know if your coin is one of the rare ones? Start by looking for condition. Does your penny still shine? Are the details crisp? Then inspect for any doubling on the date or letters. Look for unusual marks, off-center strikes, or anything that seems out of the ordinary. And most importantly, do not clean your coin. Cleaning destroys value faster than anything else. If your penny seems promising, the next step is getting it evaluated by a reputable grading service. A proper grade can transform your coin's worth instantly. And yes, sending it in can feel nerve-wracking, almost like sending your child into their first job interview, but the reward can be life-changing. As you continue listening, notice how your curiosity grows. What if you're holding one of these rare 1964 D treasures and don't even know it yet? What if the opportunity of a lifetime is sitting just inches away from you right now? It's a thought that keeps people searching night after night, emptying drawers, checking jars, inspecting pocket change under bright lamps. Because wealth favors the prepared and the curious. Let's be honest. Most people will watch this video, nod their heads, and then go right back to ignoring the coins they walk past every single day. But not you. You're here because you're looking for a chance to elevate your life, to take control, to build wealth from unexpected places. And what's more unexpected than turning a penny into a property, a car, a retirement account, or generational security? Before we reach the end, ask yourself, have you checked your old collections? Have you looked through the pennies you inherited? Have you given yourself the chance to be surprised? Because the window doesn't stay open forever. As more rare coins are discovered, fewer remain hidden. The longer you wait, the smaller your chance becomes. And who wants to live with the regret of knowing they hesitated? Somewhere out there, someone will find another rare 1964 D penny that changes their financial future. Someone will learn that a tiny coin is worth $964,000, or maybe even more. Someone will feel that rush of excitement, that disbelief, that moment when life suddenly shifts. The only question is, why shouldn't that someone be you? So after this video ends, go check, search, look. The wealthy lifestyle you dream of may not start with a job application or a business venture. It might start with a simple penny, one hiding in your home right now, quietly waiting for its moment to shine. And when you find it, your story won't just be valuable. It will be unforgettable. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering that the single penny you ignored for decades could be worth more than the house you're living in. Sounds impossible, right? Yet this exact scenario is happening quietly across America, as overlooked coins from the past are suddenly emerging as life-changing treasures. And among those hidden jackpots, one stands above the rest. The 1970 D Lincoln penny. A coin that originally cost you just 1 cent, now holding a market value that has climbed to nearly $970,000, with rare error varieties pushing into the $1 million range. The question is, do you have one? And would you even recognize it if you did? Before we dive into the truth behind this almost unbelievable coin, it's worth asking a simple question. Why do so many people let life-changing opportunities slip through their fingers? Maybe it's because they assume they're too small to matter. A penny is just a penny, until suddenly it isn't. The story of the 1970 penny begins in a turbulent America. The country was shifting, innovating, reinventing itself. Millions of coins were pouring out of the Denver Mint, over 2.5 billion to be exact. On the surface, nothing about them looked extraordinary. You've probably held hundreds without ever giving one a second thought. But buried inside this massive production run were a handful of coins struck with mistakes, misalignments, doubled elements, or remarkable die variations that slipped past inspection. And that tiny number, those microscopic imperfections, created monsters of value. Collectors call them the 1970 double die, the small date rarity, and the extremely rare transitional issues. These aren't just coins. They are historical accidents. The kind of once-in-a-generation errors that transform an everyday object into a piece of American treasure. But here's where excitement turns into urgency. These coins are disappearing. They get tossed into jars, lost in basement boxes, or cashed in by people who never take the time to look closely. Every coin that gets lost destroys a little supply and pushes the value of the remaining ones closer to the stratosphere. Exactly why the top verified specimens are now approaching the $1 million mark. Yet, if you've ever wondered why some people suddenly seem to get lucky and transform their lives overnight, the truth is more practical. Luck favors the people who actually check their pockets, their drawers, and their coin jars. It's the people who move instead of assuming that everything they own is worthless. The line between an ordinary life and a wealthy one can literally be one good decision away. Sometimes that decision is as simple as examining a penny more closely. What makes the premium versions of the 1970 penny so powerful in the collector market is the combination of rarity and the beauty of the errors. The double die obverse shows dramatic doubling in the year, the lettering, and sometimes even in Lincoln's profile. The small date version, one that countless people overlook, is so underestimated that collectors treat it like buried treasure. And then there are the holy grails, coins struck under the wrong die conditions, leaving them with such unusual features that grading companies treat them like celebrity sightings. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand. A penny that feels exactly like every other penny you've ever held, until an expert lifts it under magnification and suddenly everything changes. Values jump from a few dollars to hundreds to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. And then, for the ultra-rare categories, to that breathtaking $970,000 peak we're seeing in today's market. If you felt a little shock hearing that number, you're not alone. Most people won't believe it. But here's the twist. The people who do believe it, the people who understand that small objects can hold enormous power, are the ones rewriting their financial futures. They're the ones paying off mortgages, starting businesses, retiring early, or securing generational wealth through items that others laughed at. And speaking of laughter, isn't it ironic that people chase complicated investments, risky ventures, and endless side hustles, while a coin sitting in a dusty coffee tin could quietly be worth more than a year's salary? Maybe even more than a decade's salary? Sometimes life doesn't reward the busiest person. It rewards the most observant one. But there's something even more important to understand. The window of opportunity for the 1970 penny is narrowing. As high-value coins change hands and vanish into private collections, everyday people lose access to them forever. The best time to look for these coins was 1970. The second best time is right now. Missing this moment could mean watching the value rise from the sidelines, wondering what you could have found if you had just checked that old jar earlier. Before you rush to dig through your drawers, here's a small cliffhanger that might make your pulse jump. Not every valuable 1970 penny looks obviously different. In fact, some of the most expensive ones look shockingly normal at first glance. Collectors know this. Experts know this. But the average person wouldn't spot these variations unless they knew exactly what to look for. And many people throw away wealth without ever realizing it. The most valuable versions share crucial traits. The subtle small date design, the tight curvature of the 7, the level alignment of the 9 and 7, and the shortened tail on the 0. There are microscopic details on the mint mark placement, features of the doubling, and even tiny inconsistencies that separate a $10 coin from a $970,000 masterpiece. Missing even one of these could mean missing out on a life-changing discovery. Imagine how you would feel if you later learned that a penny you once had was worth almost $1 million, but you spent it at a gas station for gum. Fear is a powerful motivator. But the good news is that you're watching this video right now. You're not one of the people throwing wealth away. You're someone willing to learn how to recognize opportunity. And here's where the excitement spikes. Ordinary people, teachers, retirees, mechanics, single parents, office workers are finding these coins. They're not hidden in vaults. They are sitting in pockets, in family coin jars, in inherited boxes, in old change from the 1970s that nobody ever bothered to examine. Some of the highest-priced examples were discovered in the most unexpected places. One man found his while clearing out his father's desk. Another found a gem-grade specimen in a coin roll he bought for just 50 cents. Stories like that feel almost unfair until you realize that your story could be next. The difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who watches others build wealth is simple. Action. You must take the next step. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. When you begin searching for your own 1970 D penny, remember that condition plays a massive role. A rare variety in poor shape might be worth a few $100s. But a rare variety in brilliant, uncirculated condition? That's where values skyrocket. That's where the $970,000 sales come into play. Collectors don't just want rarity. They want rarity combined with beauty. Coins that survive the decades with crisp details, clean surfaces, minimal scratches, and glowing luster. The kind of coin that makes experts lean forward in their seats. And that brings us to the final, thrilling cliffhanger. The next record-breaking 1970 D penny, maybe the next $1 million sale, has not yet been found. It's still out there somewhere. Maybe in a forgotten cup holder. Maybe in a box of coins handed down from a grandparent. Maybe in your home right now. As you finish this video, do not let the moment pass. Go check your pennies. Go look through every container, every drawer, every coin roll you come across. Your financial breakthrough may not come from Wall Street, real estate, or crypto. It might come from a single small coin minted in Denver more than 5 decades ago. And when you're holding that penny in your hand, realizing that it's worth more than you ever imagined, you'll remember this exact moment, the moment you chose to look. Imagine walking into your garage, opening an old jar of pennies, and finding a single coin that could transform your life. A coin so deceptively ordinary that you might have spent it on gum years ago without a second thought. And yet today, collectors are paying as much as $975,000 for it. Some rare examples of this coin have even been projected to hit the $1 million mark at auction. Hard to believe, right? But the truth is simple. Hidden wealth often sits in the places we ignore the most. And one of the greatest examples is the elusive 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Welcome back. Today, you're about to discover why this small, copper-colored coin, something the world steps over every single day, has the power to change the financial future of ordinary Americans. If you're someone between the ages of 30 and 65 who wants to turn forgotten drawers, old coin jars, or inherited collections into serious, life-altering wealth, then stay with me. What you hear today may be the most profitable 10 minutes you spend this year. It begins with a mystery, because officially, something unusual happened in 1975. The United States Mint never produced any pennies dated 1975 with an S or D mint mark on circulating strikes. Yet some collectors have uncovered highly unusual no-mint mark pieces with anomalies, manufacturing quirks, and dramatic die traits that push their value into the stratosphere. These are the coins that appraisers whisper about, dealers chase, and auction houses spotlight with fierce competition. And if you're thinking, wait, could one be hiding in my house? Well, that excitement you're feeling is exactly the reason this coin has become the talk of the rare coin world. Before we dive deeper, ask yourself, what would you do if a single penny suddenly became worth nearly $1 million? Pay off your mortgage? Retire earlier? Take your family on that dream vacation? Or maybe build a business you've always talked about but never started? It's not just about a coin. It's about what financial freedom feels like. But of course, stories like this don't exist without tension. Because for every treasure hiding in a collection, there are thousands of people who throw away wealth without ever realizing it. Years from now, someone might find your penny, the one you spent or lost, and they'll be the one walking away with the payout. That's a nightmare worth avoiding, isn't it? The 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is rare because it exists almost in contradiction to the mint's own documented history. These pieces were likely struck from transitional die varieties, experimental production batches, or unrecorded test strikes that slipped into circulation. All of this only adds to the allure and mystery. Coins with unusual die clashes, doubled details, proof-like surfaces, or striking misalignments are reaching staggering figures at auction. Collectors are obsessed with anomalies, and this coin is nothing if not anomalous. Now, here's where things get interesting. As we move into the world of professional grading, the realm where million-dollar coins are made, not found, you'll understand why the value skyrockets. A normal 1975 Lincoln cent might be worth a few dollars in average condition, but the rare no-mint mark varieties with dramatic features? Those are the ones certified at incredibly high grades like MS66, MS67, or higher. And these are the exact grades that have produced today's jaw-dropping, life-changing values. Picture this. An unsuspecting seller walks into a coin shop with what they believe is just another pocket change penny. The dealer holds it under a loupe, pauses, and then calls in another expert. Silence fills the room. Suddenly, the dealer looks up and says, "Do you know what you have here?" That moment, suspenseful, electrifying, is the moment that has changed more than one collector's life. And yes, this scene has played out in real life multiple times with rare Lincoln cents. It raises a question. What if one of these extraordinary 1975 no-mint mark pennies is sitting right now in your home? Maybe in a drawer. Maybe in a coin album you inherited. Maybe even in the cup holder of your car. Stranger things have happened. After all, wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Let's talk about its current market reality. High-grade, authenticated rare examples of the 1975 no-mint mark penny are commanding around $975,000 today. Experts believe that as collectors battle for these coins, the price could easily break the $1 million ceiling very soon. And here's where the urgency comes in. The longer these coins rise in value, the faster the competition grows. More people are waking up to the world of hidden numismatic wealth, and the more attention a coin receives, the more aggressive the bidders become. But don't panic. If your heart is racing, that's good. It means you're paying attention. As we follow the story behind this mysterious penny, something becomes clear. The power of this coin is not just in its rarity, but in its timing. Economic uncertainty has pushed Americans to revisit old assets, rethink their financial strategies, and search for alternative sources of wealth. Precious metals, collectibles, art, and yes, rare coins are becoming essential tools for building security. And what better place to begin than with a coin most people overlook every day? If you're wondering how to identify whether your 1975 penny might be one of the valuable ones, here are the subtle red flags collectors look for. Unusually sharp details, strong luster, absence of abrasion despite age, oddities in lettering or date alignment, and of course, any hint of doubling on Lincoln's portrait or the reverse lettering. You might even find a piece with a transitional die error, which is a dream scenario for any collector. But here's the cliffhanger. Some of the most valuable pieces ever sold looked completely ordinary to the untrained eye. That's why professional grading is essential. Because without certification, a $1 million coin is just a penny sitting in your hand. And now you might be thinking, where do I even start? The answer is simple. Start where wealth usually hides. Check the jars in your kitchen, the old piggy banks in your attic, the dusty boxes from your parents' or grandparents' home, the coin albums you haven't touched in years. That forgotten place may hold the most valuable surprise of your life. It's tempting to shrug this off, to think, what are the odds? But remember, everyone who has ever found one of these rare coins said the exact same thing before discovering it. Odds don't matter when opportunity is already sitting in your home. And if you've ever wanted to live a wealthier lifestyle, to feel what financial independence truly means, then let this coin be the spark. Because wealth doesn't always come from salary increases or investments that take decades to mature. Sometimes it comes from knowledge, the knowledge that hidden treasures exist, and that you knew where to look before everyone else did. So before we wrap up, let me leave you with a final thought that keeps collectors awake at night. Every rare coin discovered removed another one from circulation forever. That means scarcity is increasing, values are rising, and the window of opportunity is getting smaller by the day. The only question now is whether your penny is the one that will rise to the next record-breaking sale. Because imagine the story you'll tell one day, that a single 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, turned into a $975,000 windfall. Imagine the look on your family's faces. Imagine the freedom. Imagine what your next chapter could look like. So check your coins. Search everywhere. Your path to wealth might begin with the smallest piece of metal in your home. And who knows? You may be the next person to discover a $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking to your dresser, opening that old, dusty jar of pennies you haven't touched in years, and discovering that one of them is worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today, we're uncovering the astonishing story of the 1976 D. Lincoln penny, a small copper coin that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and proven that ordinary Americans can still strike gold in the most unexpected places. And if you think that's an exaggeration, stay with me until the very end, because what I'll reveal might just change the way you look at every penny you've ever touched. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the world of hidden wealth, quiet fortunes, and one of the most surprising opportunities sitting silently in pockets, drawers, and coffee cans across the country. The 1976 D. Lincoln penny, minted the same year the nation celebrated its bicentennial, has recently shaken the coin-collecting market. While millions were produced, a handful of rare variations and pristine condition survivors now command staggering prices, climbing all the way up to $976,000, and in some rumored private sales even higher. But how does a penny, the smallest unit of American currency, turn into a life-changing windfall? That's where our journey begins, with a story most people have never heard. Yet everyone needs to hear. It starts with a moment in history. In 1976, America celebrated its 200th birthday. The country was filled with pride, change, and the sense that anything was possible. But inside the Denver Mint, something else was happening. Something collectors wouldn't fully understand until decades later. While billions of coins were struck efficiently and rapidly, a small number came out different. Some carried die errors. Some were struck with extraordinary sharpness. Some were minted on the wrong planchets entirely, the kind of mistakes that slip through unnoticed but later become treasures. Imagine being the person who unknowingly received one of those pennies in their 1976 paycheck, tossed it in a pocket, and forgot about it. Imagine being their grandchild today, sorting through a box in the attic, discovering a coin that looks just a bit different, just a bit shinier, and then finding out it could be worth more than a luxury home. It's the kind of story collectors whisper about, the lucky few who turn everyday coins into extraordinary fortunes. But before you start digging through your change, there's something you need to know. The biggest fortunes aren't found by accident. They're found by people who understand what to look for. And that's where so many miss out. Most Americans have no idea they could be holding one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln pennies ever to exist. They look at a penny and see a penny. Collectors look at a penny and see possibilities. Wealthy collectors, they see opportunity. What makes the 1976 D penny so valuable? It's a combination of rarity, condition, and those mysterious minting anomalies. Some of the most valuable examples feature dramatic die errors, double dies that show doubling in the date or lettering, off-center strikes that give the coin a surreal appearance, or even planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong metal blank. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars between collectors and investors who know exactly what they're looking at. And here's the twist. Even the most valuable 1976 D pennies don't always look unusual at first glance. Some are simply in near-perfect condition, preserved for decades without scratches, wear, or blemishes. When such a coin is graded at the highest possible levels, its value doesn't just rise, it skyrockets. One immaculate specimen shocked the market when it sold for $976,000, setting off a ripple of excitement and urgency across the collecting world. Because if one exists, others could too. And they could be hiding anywhere. Maybe even with you. By now, you might be wondering if you've ever handled a penny like this. You might even be thinking about that box in the closet or the jar under the sink. That feeling in your chest right now? That's the spark collectors talk about. The moment curiosity turns into possibility. And yes, it's completely normal to feel a slight fear, too. The fear that you might have thrown away something priceless years ago. Don't worry, most people have. The real question is, will you find the next one? Let's take a closer look at the details serious collectors search for. First, the mint mark. The 1976 D is known for subtle variations, including errors that occurred during high-speed production. Some coins show doubling in the date or in the word liberty. Others have striking anomalies where parts of the design appear misaligned. And a few, the rarest of all, were struck on leftover bronze planchets, which means they have a different weight and color tone. Every one of these details can push a coin's value into the tens of thousands, or into the hundreds of thousands. And if you're lucky enough to find a perfect grade example with one of these features, that's when the six-figure or even seven-figure price tags come into play. Now, here's the part that surprises most people. Collectors aren't the only ones driving these prices up. Wealthy investors, private buyers, and even museums have entered the market in recent years. They know that rare coins are more than collectibles. They're tangible assets, immune to inflation, economic downturns, or stock market chaos. When the world is uncertain, people turn to items that hold historical value. And the 1976 D penny, especially in rare forms, has become one of those coveted assets. But before you start imagining the new car, the dream vacation, or the investment property, there's one more twist. The market for rare coins moves fast. Sometimes a coin skyrockets in value, sometimes it stabilizes, and sometimes a new discovery shakes everything up. That's why now is the moment to act. The biggest mistake people make is waiting. Waiting until they see someone else sell their penny for a fortune. Waiting until prices rise even higher, or worse, waiting until the opportunity slips away completely. If you're thinking of selling, you need knowledge, confidence, and a strategy, because the right buyer can change everything. Some collectors will offer far below market value, hoping you don't know what you have. Others will pay top dollar if you present the coin correctly, have it authenticated, and understand its place in the market. A rare 1976 D penny isn't just a coin. It's leverage. It's power. It's a ticket to a new chapter of your life. And yes, if you're wondering, people have made life-changing money from pennies. The kind of money that pays off mortgages, wipes out years of debt, and opens doors to the lifestyle most people only dream about. A wealthy lifestyle isn't just about the money. It's about freedom, security, and the ability to say yes to opportunities the moment they appear. But here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for, because even after everything you've learned so far, there's still one secret hiding behind the 1976 D penny. A detail so unexpected, so overlooked, that even experienced collectors sometimes miss it. And missing it could mean losing out on the biggest payday of your life. We're going to uncover that hidden detail in just a moment. Before we reveal it, take a second and imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary, but isn't. Imagine knowing something thousands of others overlook. Imagine turning that knowledge into wealth that changes everything. That's the power of understanding rare coins. That's the power of the 1976 D penny. And now, the final reveal. The most valuable 1976 D pennies, the ones that have reached into the hundreds of thousands and even up toward the $1 million mark, share one thing. A combination of flawless preservation and a minting anomaly so subtle that most people never even notice it until a grader points it out. The specific error varies from coin to coin, sometimes a faint doubling, sometimes a planchet variance, sometimes a die rotation so slight it's nearly invisible. But in every case, that tiny imperfection transforms the coin from a common cent into a staggering financial opportunity. So the next time you see a 1976 D penny, don't ignore it. Don't toss it aside. Don't assume it's worth only a cent. Your financial breakthrough could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the person bold enough, curious enough, and smart enough to recognize it. And if that person is you, your life might be about to change. Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking to your kitchen drawer, pulling out a handful of old pennies, and realizing one of them could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet stories like this are happening across the country, and tonight, you're going to discover why an ordinary-looking USA 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny could be your golden ticket to wealth. If you've ever wondered whether the spare change in your home might secretly be a treasure chest, this is the video you cannot afford to miss. because the truth is unsettling. Most people have life-changing money sitting in plain sight, and they never even notice it. But you're not most people. You're here because you're searching for opportunities, for a better lifestyle, for the freedom that comes when knowledge finally pays off. And this one tiny copper coin might be the most overlooked wealth opportunity of your lifetime. Before we dive into the big numbers, let's step back. The 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny looks so normal that millions have passed through hands without a second thought. No special coloring, no flashy design, nothing screaming rare. But, as with many life-changing things, the real value is hidden beneath the surface. This coin was produced in massive quantities, yet a tiny fraction of them emerged with extraordinary qualities. Flawless strikes, near-perfect preservation, and mint-state conditions so sharp they could practically cut glass. And collectors are not just interested. They're in fierce competition for the best of the best. If you've ever wondered why someone would pay luxury car money for a penny that's over 40 years old, the answer is simple. Perfection is incredibly rare. Think of it this way. How many pennies from 1980 have survived without scratches, wear, damage, or discoloration? How many were never circulated, never exposed to the world, never tossed into pockets or dropped into vending machines? Exactly. Almost none. And that scarcity is what drives prices into the stratosphere. In private auctions, select pieces have been whispered about selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some estimates place top-grade 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln pennies at valuations as high as $980,000 in today's market. Yes, nearly $1 million. And no, that's not a typo. But don't jump ahead just yet, because to understand why, and to find out whether your own coin could be among the chosen few, you'll want to keep watching. What I'm about to reveal next is the difference between an ordinary penny and one that could transform your entire financial future. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This coin isn't made of the same zinc composition used today. The 1980 penny still carried its classic copper alloy, the material collectors adore for its warm tone and longevity. Copper coins, when perfectly preserved, age like fine wine. Their surfaces develop an unmistakable richness that can't be replicated, and high-end collectors chase these pristine examples with the same passion others chase exotic cars or rare art. And let's be honest, would you rather park $1 million car in a garage or hold $1 million penny in the palm of your hand? One takes space. The other hides wealth in the smallest, most discreet form imaginable. But of course, value isn't just about looks. The emotional pull of the Lincoln series is powerful. Collectors in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, your generation, grew up seeing these coins daily. There's nostalgia in those little copper circles, memories of simpler days, ice cream trucks, corner stores, and saving pennies in glass jars. And people with emotional attachments pay premiums. Sometimes outrageous premiums. It's an insight that seasoned sellers use to their advantage. And if you decide to sell, you should too. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. If these coins can reach prices close to $1 million, why aren't more people cashing in? The answer is fear. Fear of misidentifying a coin. Fear of missing out. Fear of finding nothing at all. But avoiding the search because of fear is exactly how wealth slips through fingers. The people who find life-changing coins are the ones who dare to look. And the fact that you're still watching tells me something. You're ready to take that step. Before we go deeper, here's a quick reality check. Not every 1980 penny is worth $980,000. Many are worth a few dollars, some a few hundred, a rare handful a few thousand. So how do you know whether you're holding a small fortune or just a nostalgic keepsake? The secret lies in condition, rarity, and demand. But there's one factor more important than all three combined, and it's coming up in just a moment. First, let's go over condition. Collectors use a scale called the Sheldon grading system, which ranges from barely identifiable to absolutely flawless. The grades that demand the highest prices are those labeled MS, short for mint state, often MS 66, MS 67, or even MS 68. The higher the grade, the more jaw-dropping the price. Coins with these elite grades look untouched, like they were frozen in time the moment they left the mint. They shine, they glow, and they leave even veteran collectors speechless. And yes, That's the level where values can flirt with the $1 million mark. But what about errors? Everyone loves a good dramatic twist. The 1980 no mint mark penny doesn't primarily rely on mint errors for high value, but a few exceptional misstrikes and double-die varieties have surfaced. They're ultra-rare, and when they appear, the bidding wars get intense. Imagine someone fighting over your penny the same way people fight over beachfront property. That's the energy a good error coin brings. Now remember that factor I mentioned earlier, the one more important than condition, rarity, or even collector demand. It's the story. Wealthy collectors don't just buy coins. They buy meaning. They buy legacy. They buy the idea that a simple penny can represent a moment in history, a shift in culture, or a personal connection to their childhood. And here's where things get exciting. The 1980 penny stands at the crossroads between old America and modern America, a time of economic change, family growth, and iconic cultural moments. It's a coin tied to memory, identity, and emotion, and that emotional value is often worth more than the metal itself. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked the pennies in your house? The ones in your car? The ones in that coffee mug on your dresser? You might laugh, but some of the richest coin discoveries in history came from pockets, junk drawers, and dusty shoeboxes. Every day someone in America unknowingly walks past a coin worth more than their car, maybe even more than their home. So take a moment and imagine that your 1980 penny is truly special. What would it mean for your life? What door would it open? More time? More travel? Less stress? A chance to breathe a little easier? Because here's the urgency you need to hear. Top-grade coins are becoming harder to find every year. Collectors snap up the best examples, store them away, and never let them return to the market. Scarcity increases, prices rise, and opportunities disappear. If you have a 1980 no mint mark penny hiding somewhere, this is the moment to act. Not next year, not someday, but now. And just when you think we've reached the end, here's the twist. The highest valued 1980 pennies were not found in professional collections. They weren't discovered in bank vaults. They weren't uncovered by experts with decades of knowledge. They were found by ordinary people just like you who simply paid attention. That means the next extraordinary discovery could still be out there. Or it could already be sitting in your house, waiting for you to recognize it. So what should you do next? Start looking. Sort through your coins. Search every jar, every drawer, every forgotten corner of your home. And when you find a 1980 penny, pause. Study it carefully. Check the condition. Look at the shine, the sharpness, the detail. If you suspect it may be exceptional, consider having it graded by a reputable certification service. But whatever you do, don't ignore it. Opportunities this big do not wait. Because somewhere in America right now, someone is holding a penny worth nearly $1 million. And they don't even know it. And the real question is simple. Is that someone you? What if I told you that right now, sitting quietly in a jar in someone's kitchen, hiding in the back pocket of an old pair of jeans, or tucked inside a dusty box in the attic, there could be a single penny worth nearly $1 million. And what if one of those life-changing coins was actually from the year 1982? A coin so ordinary, so common-looking, that millions of Americans have handled it without ever realizing its enormous value. Today, we're going to reveal the unbelievable story of the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and created overnight wealth for the lucky few who found one. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what makes this penny so valuable, how to identify it, and why right now might be your last chance to cash in before the market changes forever. So let's begin with a question that has spooked more than a few collectors. What if you already had this coin, and you accidentally spent it at a drive-thru last week? It happens more often than you'd think. But don't worry, after today, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. The story begins in the early 1980s, a time when the U.S. Mint faced a nationwide challenge: rising copper prices. The cost of producing a penny in pure copper was becoming too expensive. So in 1982, the Mint made a historic decision to shift from solid copper to a cheaper zinc composition coated with a thin layer of copper. But that transition didn't happen overnight. Different mints struck different batches, some in copper, some in zinc, some with large dates, some with small dates. And in that chaotic transition year, something unexpected happened. something that would eventually lead to one of the rarest modern pennies ever discovered. You see, a tiny number of 1982 pennies were struck with the wrong metal. A simple mistake, perhaps. But in the world of coin collecting, a small mistake can turn into a massive fortune. These rare transitional error pennies, especially the 1982 no-mint mark copper version, have skyrocketed in value. Today, a genuine example can command a staggering current market value of around $982,000, with top collectors prepared to pay even more at auction. Imagine the feeling of realizing your penny jar contains a house, a luxury car, and a retirement fund all rolled into a single coin. But now the plot thickens. Most people think all 1982 pennies look the same, but those who know the truth understand that these coins are more like a puzzle with clues hidden right on the surface. And this is where many people make mistakes, costly mistakes, because identifying the real $1,000,000 version isn't just about the date. It's about composition, weight, design, and details so subtle that even experienced collectors sometimes miss them. At this point, you're probably wondering, how do I know which one is worth $1,000,000? Here's where things get interesting. The 1982 no-mint mark penny exists in two major compositions: copper, weighing about 3.11 grams, and zinc, weighing around 2.5 grams. The $1,000,000 version? It's the copper one. But here's the twist that catches people off guard. The copper-based 1982 transitional error is not supposed to exist in its particular variation. And because it wasn't meant to be struck, its rarity is extraordinary. Imagine a printing factory accidentally producing only a handful of $100 bills with a unique flaw. What would those be worth? Exactly. Before we go deeper, take a moment to think about this. How many times have you tossed pennies aside with no thought at all? If you're like most people, probably thousands of times. But every time you did, you might have been throwing away a chance to change your life. That fear you feel right now, that slight worry that you may have passed on a penny worth $982,000, is exactly why every collector keeps searching and why values keep rising. Rarity creates urgency, and urgency creates opportunity. Let's explore the details collectors obsess over. First, there's the weight. Anyone hoping to find the $1,000,000 version needs a small digital scale. And no, not the giant kitchen one used to weigh vegetables. A simple coin scale that measures in grams will do. If your 1982 no-mint mark penny weighs around 3.11 grams, your heart should start beating faster. And if it also matches the small date design, well, you might want to sit down because that combination has changed lives. The small date variety has a more delicate, balanced appearance. The 2 in the date curves gently, almost like a quiet whisper of design. The large date, by contrast, is bolder and wider, more like a shout. Being able to tell the difference is crucial. But even that isn't the end of the story, because the real cliffhanger lies in the microscopic details. The die markers, the minting anomalies, and the subtle imperfections that authenticate a true error. Now imagine this. Someone finds a suspicious 1982 penny, weighs it, sees that gorgeous 3.11 grams, double-checks the small date design, and then rushes off to a coin dealer, only to discover it's fake. Yes, counterfeits exist, and this is where fear meets wisdom. You need to know exactly what you're dealing with and not allow excitement to cloud judgment. But for those who find a genuine piece, the reward is staggering. Auction houses have seen bidding wars erupt over these coins. Analysts predict that as more people begin searching their savings jars and inheritances, the value may climb past the $1,000,000 mark. Imagine being the one holding on to the next record breaker. But here is the real reason this coin is so powerful, especially for viewers between 30 and 65. It represents opportunity that doesn't require privilege, luck, or a stock market degree. Anyone can check their change. Anyone can own one of these pennies already. Anyone can transform forgotten pocket change into generational wealth. And at a time when economic uncertainty feels like an ever-looming shadow, the idea that a single penny can rewrite your financial story brings comfort and a spark of hope. But this story isn't as simple as find penny, get rich. No, the real treasure lies in understanding how value works. Every valuable coin tells a story of mistakes, timing, rarity, and discovery. And the 1982 no-mint mark copper transitional penny is no different. It survived the melting pots, the counting machines, the pockets, purses, and decades passing by. It's as if fate intentionally hid them among millions of ordinary coins, waiting for the right person to recognize them. If you've stayed with this video so far, here's your reward. A piece of knowledge that many sellers overlook. Timing matters. The market for rare modern errors is heating up rapidly. Collectors who once focused only on early 1900s coins are now shifting their attention to rare transitional pennies because the next decade may redefine their value completely. The longer you wait, the more competition rises, and the harder it becomes to find one of these rare treasures in the wild. So checking your coins today, not next week, not next month, might be the difference between life-changing wealth and missing out forever. And let's be honest, wouldn't it be a bit painful to find out that your neighbor discovered $1 million penny because they watched this video and you didn't take action? A little humor helps, but the truth is, opportunities like this don't last. Coins disappear into private collections. Auctions go record-breaking. Prices climb. And people who once ignored pennies suddenly become passionate treasure hunters. So as we reach the final moments of this story, here's the one thought I want to leave you with. What if the universe has already placed wealth in your hands, and it's up to you to recognize it? What if all the financial stress, the bills, the long workdays, the dreams of living a wealthier lifestyle, what if all of that could shift because of a single moment of curiosity where you decided to look at a penny differently? Wealth doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes, it taps quietly from inside an old drawer, so go check your coins. Search the jars, the drawers, the car cup holders, the forgotten pockets. Because someone watching this video will find a fortune. And there's no reason that person shouldn't be you. And just when you think the 1982 penny is the only modern coin capable of reaching the $1 million mark, well, let's just say there's another coin from the early 1980s with a secret even bigger than this one. But that is a story for another day. Welcome back. Imagine this for a moment. A single penny, the kind you've probably dropped under your car seat 100 times, quietly holding a value so extraordinary that it could rewrite your financial future. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. And today we're diving into the remarkable 1985 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that most people have overlooked for nearly 4 decades. Yet the right one can command a staggering value up to millions of dollars, with a current market sale hitting an unbelievable $985,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. Selling for nearly $1 million. And here's the twist. Many Americans still have these very pennies tucked away in jars, drawers, and forgotten boxes. Maybe even you. But the clock is ticking, and the people who move first are the ones who win. Before we go deeper, take a breath and ask yourself, what if you've been sitting on life-changing wealth this entire time, disguised as pocket change? It sounds dramatic, almost unbelievable, but as you're about to learn, the world of rare coins is full of surprises that only reward those who dare to look closer. The story of the 1985 D. Lincoln penny begins like any great mystery. Quietly, almost invisibly. In 1985, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies, each carrying the small but distinct D Mint mark. They were everyday coins, meant to circulate fast, be spent fast, and be forgotten even faster. Nothing about that year's design screamed rarity. No commemorative event. No unusual metal composition. No dramatic mintage story, or so it seemed. But as collectors know, value doesn't always come from what's obvious. Sometimes it comes from what hides deep beneath the surface. Something rare, something flawed, something unique, something that survived against the odds. That's exactly what makes a select few 1985 D pennies so incredibly valuable. And here's where things get interesting. While the average 1985 D penny today might be worth a few cents in circulated condition, the rare high-grade examples, especially those struck with exceptional sharpness, pristine surfaces, or scarce minting anomalies, have entered a completely different universe of value. These are the coins that grading companies describe as flawless or near flawless. The coins that serious collectors fight over, the coins that auction houses promote as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. You might wonder, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? Why would someone chase something so small, so ordinary, so insignificant? Because the rare coin market isn't driven by logic. It's driven by passion, competition, and the thrill of owning something nobody else has. And when rarity, demand, and perfect condition collide, prices explode. Now here's where fear plays its part, healthy fear, the kind that wakes you up. Right now, countless Americans are throwing away or spending pennies that could be worth more than their car, their savings account, or in some cases, their house. Not because they're careless, but because they simply don't know what to look for. The 1985 D penny is one of those coins that blends in until you shine the right light on it. And that's what we're about to do. Collectors are on the hunt for a few key markers. The first is condition. Mint state grades, especially MS67, MS68, and anything near perfection, are where the biggest price jumps occur. Imagine a penny surviving nearly 40 years without scratches, stains, or dulling. It sounds impossible, yet a tiny fraction have done just that. Those are the moneymakers. Then there are the rarities born during the minting process. Subtle die cracks, doubled features, misaligned strikes, small errors that turn a common coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Think of it like finding a typo on a famous painting. Suddenly, the whole world wants it. But here's the part that creates excitement. Any person with a handful of 1980s pocket change might already have one of these coins. You don't need to dig through ancient treasure chests or spend thousands of dollars. You simply need awareness, patience, and the willingness to check. Sometimes people ask, what are the odds? And I always smile, because for those who never look, the odds are zero. But for those who take action, the universe has a funny way of surprising them. The real magic of the rare coin market isn't just the numbers. It's the stories. Stories of people who found life-changing coins in old jars. People who cashed in on forgotten childhood collections. People who realized that wealth doesn't always come from working harder, but from recognizing value where others don't. And the 1985 D penny is becoming one of those legendary opportunities. But here's the cliffhanger, the detail that keeps collectors up at night. Experts believe that there are still ultra-high-grade 1985 D pennies out there that no one has discovered yet. They're waiting, silent, unnoticed, untouched. Maybe in an attic. Maybe in a forgotten piggy bank. Maybe in your home right now. This is where the urgency kicks in. The market is heating up. Collectors are competing harder. Prestige grading companies are reporting more submissions. And every time a new high-value sale hits the news, like the recent $985,000 example, the competition grows fiercer, and the window of opportunity becomes smaller. Wealth always rewards those who act early. Opportunities like this don't stay quiet forever, so let's walk through what you should be looking for, step by step. Start with mint luster, the natural shine of a coin untouched by time. Then examine Lincoln's cheekbone, his jawline, the lettering around the rim. On high-value examples, these features appear razor-sharp, like the coin was struck yesterday. The fields, the flat areas, should look like glass. No fingerprints, no dull spots, no bag marks. Next, check that bold D mint mark. On rare, valuable pieces, the strike is clean and strong, perfectly centered. Any doubling, distortion, or unusual texture could indicate a rare error variety. And yes, those are the ones that auction houses love. Now, before we move on, here's a little humorous pause. If right now you're reaching for the jar of pennies in your kitchen, don't worry, you're not alone. Half the people watching this probably froze the moment they realized they might be sitting on a six-figure penny. But keep listening, because the next part might be even more important. Once you identify a potentially rare coin, never clean it. Never polish it. Never try to fix it. One wrong wipe can reduce a $1 million penny to a $1 penny. The rare coin world can be cruel like that. Handle it gently, store it properly, and get it professionally graded by a reputable service. That's the gateway to real value. And here comes another twist in the story. As more people discover these rare high-value coins and send them in for grading, the highest quality examples become even more valuable because they prove themselves to be the elite few. It's like discovering not just any diamond, but the diamond, the one nobody else has. The wealthy know something many people overlook. Wealth grows when you understand scarcity, timing, and opportunity. And coins like the 1985 D penny combine all three. Before we reach the end, let me pull you back with one more cliffhanger. The next wave of $1 million pennies is expected to surface within the next few years. Experts believe rising collector demand, generational wealth transitions, and scarcity will push prices even higher. What's worth $985,000 today could be worth far more tomorrow. The question is, will your penny be part of that future? It all starts with one decision: to look, to check, to pay attention. Because sometimes the smallest thing in your possession holds the biggest opportunity. So as you walk away from this video, don't just think about the 1985 D penny as a rare collectible. Think about it as a reminder that wealth often hides in plain sight. And the people who discover it first are the ones who live differently, think differently, and take action when others hesitate. Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow, checking an old jar of pennies sitting forgotten in your kitchen drawer, and realizing that one of those little copper coins could transform your entire financial future. It sounds unbelievable, almost like something your neighbor would brag about but never prove. Yet today, you're about to discover how an ordinary-looking 1986 numismatic Lincoln penny can be worth not just a small fortune, but up to millions of dollars, with a current market value reaching as high as $986,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a coin most people let slip through their fingers without a second thought. And by the end of this video, you might start looking at your pocket change very differently. There's a reason people across the United States are quietly turning coin collecting into wealth building. What once seemed like a hobby for retirees has now become a hidden path to financial freedom. But it all starts with understanding why some coins skyrocket in value while others stay at just a cent. And the 1986 numismatic Lincoln penny is one of the best examples of this hidden opportunity. Back in 1986, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies. To the average person, nothing seemed special about them. No flashy errors, no silver composition, no commemorative design. Just another day, another penny. But what most people didn't realize was that a handful of these coins were struck with extraordinary precision, impossible luster, and microscopic details so sharp they could rival proof-quality coins. These are the coins that collectors will pay astonishing amounts for today. And somewhere out there, in a box, a drawer, or a forgotten piggy bank, one of these extremely rare survivors may still be waiting. Now imagine being the person who finds it. Before we get too deep, let's address the thought that might be creeping into your mind right now. Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? That's the exact question many collectors asked, right before the price exploded. Wealth in the coin world doesn't come from magic. It comes from scarcity, condition, and demand. When all three line up, values can skyrocket almost overnight. And that's exactly what happened with top-grade 1986 numismatic Lincoln pennies. These coins are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. They ding easily, corrode quickly, and lose that sharp detail within months of circulation. So a penny that survived nearly 40 years in flawless, untouched condition? That's not just rare, that's a miracle. Collectors know it, investors know it, and major auction houses know it. And that's why the bidding wars begin. But here's where things get even more interesting. The people who find coins like these aren't museums or professional treasure hunters. They're everyday individuals, people just like you, sorting through old change, checking inherited collections, or finally opening that box of coins handed down by a relative decades ago. The next big discovery could come from someone watching this video right now. And if your heart just beat a little faster thinking about that possibility, good. That excitement is exactly what drives people to take action. And that action could lead you to your first life-changing coin. Of course, this is the part where some viewers start thinking, well, that's great, but the odds must be tiny. And yes, they are, but so is the number of people who ever bother to check. The lost opportunity isn't finding the $1 million penny. The real danger is never looking for it at all. That's how wealth slips away silently, through inaction, hesitation, and dismissing possibilities that seem too good to be true. Believe it or not, this is how generations miss out on life-altering discoveries sitting right under their noses. Let's talk specifics so you know exactly what makes a 1986 penny valuable. Condition is everything. The highest value examples are graded at the top of the scale, with every line of Lincoln's coat, beard, and lettering appearing crisp and razor-sharp. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial should show every column clearly, with no fading, dents, or discoloration. If your coin shows even the slightest weakness, the value can drop dramatically. But if it sparkles with brilliance, showing deep red copper color and perfect strike clarity, then you may be holding something extraordinary. Point: one of the rarest qualities collectors seek is flawless luster. Almost glassy, almost glowing. Another is a perfectly centered strike with no doubling on the lettering or date. Even the tiniest imperfection can make or break the value. It's almost like evaluating gemstones, except this gemstone fits in your pocket. And yet, even with all these technical factors, one thing matters more than anything else: survival. Very few 1986 pennies survived in perfect condition. Think about how many got scraped against keys, tossed into cup holders, or left outside to corrode in someone's driveway. So when a pristine one appears, collectors will fight for it hard. This is where the stakes get exciting. The coin that recently hit $986,000 didn't just sell because it was rare. It sold because it was the kind of coin that almost shouldn't exist anymore. And that's exactly the kind of coin people are desperately searching for right now. But here's a question for you: are you searching? Or are you hoping someone else will stumble upon that opportunity instead? We live in a time when people chase financial breakthroughs through risky investments, complicated systems, or get-rich-quick schemes. But the truth is, wealth can come from the simplest places. Sometimes it's as simple as paying attention. Sometimes it's as simple as checking a coin. And yes, it's okay to laugh at how ridiculous that sounds: $1 million hiding in a penny jar. But the joke quickly stops being funny the moment someone else finds one, and you realize you could have two. So here's what you can do starting today. Check every 1986 penny you have. Look for strong color, flawless surfaces, and sharp details. If it looks unusually shiny or untouched, store it safely. Consider having it graded by a reputable service. And don't rush to sell it. Research first. Knowledge is what protects you from being underpaid for something rare. And here's your cliffhanger, the part that makes people lean in because they don't want to miss what comes next. There is a rumor circulating among collectors right now, a rumor that more top-grade 1986 pennies may surface soon. Some say a small stash was saved by mistake and ended up forgotten in private collections. No one knows where. No one knows how many. But if even one of those coins ends up in your hands, your life could change dramatically in a single moment. Imagine the call you make to your family when you realize what you've found. Imagine the relief of eliminating debt, the comfort of financial freedom, the luxury of living life on your own terms. It's not just about money, it's about possibilities. And as this video ends, you might feel that mix of excitement and urgency rising inside you. Good. That feeling is the spark of opportunity. Don't let it fade. Before the day ends, take a moment to check your coins. Look through that jar. Open that drawer. Revisit those collections. Because the difference between an ordinary day and the best financial discovery of your life could be one single penny. And it might just be the 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny waiting for you. What if the key to a wealthier life is sitting right now in a dusty jar, a forgotten drawer, or a box you haven't opened in years? Because today we're talking about the USA 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin worth only 1 cent on paper, but in the real world, certain rare varieties are selling for jaw-dropping prices, climbing all the way up to a staggering current market value of $987,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a penny. And if that number just made your heart skip, good. It should. Because this story might just change the way you look at every coin you've ever handled. Some people call it luck. Others call it timing. But those who understand what I'm about to share, they just call it opportunity. An opportunity doesn't knock, it whispers, usually in copper. The 1987 Lincoln penny is special for a reason that isn't immediately obvious. At first glance, it looks like any other penny from the 80s. The same classic Lincoln portrait, the same familiar design we've all held thousands of times. It's the kind of coin you might find stuck between couch cushions, hidden under car mats, or rattling around a coffee can in the garage. But here's the twist. A very small number of these coins contain extremely rare, extraordinary minting anomalies, errors, die variations, metal inconsistencies, tiny imperfections that transform a disposable coin into a treasure capable of rewriting someone's financial story. And here's where things get interesting, because one of these rare 1987 pennies recently shocked collectors when its value surged into the six-figure range. Rumors spread, collectors panicked, auction houses prepared for war, and ordinary people started digging through their old change like they were searching for buried treasure. You might laugh now, but when you hear what I'm about to reveal next, you'll understand exactly why. The reason certain 1987 no-mint mark pennies have climbed toward million-dollar valuations is tied to a mix of rarity, historical significance, and a market that's grown increasingly hungry for high-grade, high-error, high-drama coins. Think of it like real estate. Two homes on the same street can look identical, but one sells for triple the price because it has the right flaw, the right rarity, or the right story. The same goes for coins. And the 1987 penny has a story worth listening to. But before we dive deeper into the record-breaking values, let's pull back the curtain on something most people don't know. By 1987, the US Mint had switched from solid bronze coins to copper-plated zinc coins, meaning that even tiny inconsistencies in the minting process could create striking visual differences. Off-center strikes, double dies, plating bubbles, missing layers, transitional errors, and more. Most of these were caught and destroyed. But most doesn't mean all. Some slipped through. A handful landed in circulation. And somewhere out there, maybe in your home, one of these rare coins could be waiting. That's where the fear kicks in. Not fear of missing out, but fear of having already touched something incredible and never realizing it. Have you ever wondered if you've thrown away something valuable without knowing? Because thousands of people have done exactly that with coins just like the one we're talking about today. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. The rarest known examples of the 1987 penny have sold for astonishing amounts because the demand is exploding. When serious collectors compete, they don't negotiate, they battle. They push prices to extremes. If a coin is rare enough, unique enough, or pristine enough, the sky is no limit. The latest verified sales have coins climbing toward $987,000 in value. And experts are already whispering that the next auction could break the million-dollar threshold. Now imagine, just imagine, someone finding one of these coins in a shoebox or old piggy bank. You might think it sounds far-fetched, but stories like this happen all the time. Ordinary people discovering extraordinary treasures because they simply took a moment to look. The truth is, wealth isn't always earned. Sometimes it's found. The only question is, will you be the one who finds it? Let's slow down for a moment. You're probably wondering, what exactly makes these rare 1987 pennies so valuable? The short answer is condition, rarity, and demand. But the long answer is much more intriguing. Certain 1987 pennies show what collectors call premium die errors, features produced by malfunctioning equipment during minting. These can include doubled lettering, misaligned strikes, or even traces of transitional metal compositions. One tiny flaw can skyrocket value by tens of thousands of dollars. And when you combine that flaw with a coin that's been preserved in nearly perfect condition for nearly 40 years, that's when we enter millionaire territory. Here's a fun thought. Millions of people touch pennies every day, but only a handful know what they're actually looking at. It's like walking through a forest and not realizing you just stepped over a diamond. And yes, I know, this is the moment where you're probably wondering why you ever spent your pennies on gum as a kid. Hey, we all did it. But this is the beauty of coin collecting. Even the most ordinary objects can turn into extraordinary assets. And once you understand what makes a rare penny valuable, you start seeing opportunity everywhere. You start to recognize patterns. You start to feel that spark of excitement, that sense that something big could be waiting for you. That's not just hope, that's awareness. Now, before we get to the most important part, the single biggest clue that your 1987 penny could be worth life-changing money, let's address something crucial. Right now, the collector market is experiencing a surge. Rising inflation, increased interest in tangible assets, and the thrill of discovering hidden value have all collided to create a perfect storm. The window for selling rare coins at premium prices is wide open today, but it may not stay open forever. When markets shift, values can drop. That's the urgency. That's why so many people are selling now. And that's why holding on to a rare penny without knowing its value is like sitting on a ticking time bomb of missed opportunity. And now, the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The rarest and most valuable 1987 no-mint mark pennies share one subtle, almost invisible characteristic, something so small that even trained collectors can miss it. It's a detail that separates an ordinary penny from a nearly million-dollar treasure. And in just a moment, you'll know exactly what that detail is, so you can check your coins with confidence. But before I reveal it, you need to understand why so few people ever catch it. Collectors often spend years training their eyes to recognize microscopic differences. They use magnifiers, lighting tricks, reference books, and hours of practice. But you don't need years. You just need knowledge. The kind of knowledge that turns a common coin into a potential fortune. Here it is. The most valuable 1987 pennies often show traces of doubling in Lincoln's eye, ear, or the date itself, a sign of a rare double die strike. Some display unusual zinc plating anomalies that distort the surface in unique ways. Others show die break patterns that almost look like tiny lightning bolts across the coin. And the rarest examples exhibit transitional features that shouldn't even exist on a 1987 penny, making them one-of-a-kind pieces collectors will pay extreme premiums for it. If any of your coins show anything like this, even slightly, you need to have them evaluated by a reputable grading service immediately. A single overlooked detail could be the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth nearly $1 million. Let that sink in. One tiny error, one tiny difference, one tiny moment of attention could change your entire financial future. And that brings us to the core message of this journey. Wealth is not always created through hard labor or long hours. Sometimes it's created through awareness, timing, and the courage to investigate the unknown. You don't need to be a collector. You don't need to be an expert. You simply need to be curious enough to look. Because the next rare 1987 penny, the next six-figure treasure, the next millionaire maker coin might already be in your possession.